Hey y'all, in today's What Made the Man, I'm going to be reviewing Sylvester Stallone's 10 key rules for success. He's 75 years old and he's still starring in and producing feature films and TV series. Whether you're an aspiring actor like myself or just someone who loves Sylvester Stallone, all of us could learn from his 10 rules of success. The first one is listen to your gut. A lot of the time we have a sixth sense when it comes to things. And sometimes we'll ignore that in the name of practicality, of logic. But be warned, when you don't listen to your gut, a lot of the times your gut knows better. You can lead yourself into some difficult situations if you want to disregard that. Have you ever met someone and your first feeling of them is, ooh, they're kind of slimy, I don't know. But then you push that aside because they seem like a really great person, and it turns out that they're not a great friend, that they may not have the best intentions for you. We got to listen to our gut. The second rule is don't keep up, just keep talking. You know, when he started out as Rocky, he wrote Rocky. And not only that, but he had to come up with his own funding for the film. He had to find a director, had to find a producer. And it was hard for people to take him seriously because as a man with a deformity on his face, it was hard to take him seriously as an actor. But he kept talking to people, kept trying to convince them of the quality of his script. We can all afford to stand up for ourselves a little bit more. A lot of people are going to want to knock us down. You know, if you're the type of person who wants to start a part-time business, if you're like me, wanting to work on a passion project like being an actor, a lot of the times other people will look at you and say, oh, that's kind of fun, but they're not going to succeed. Or they'll outrightly tell you, you shouldn't be focusing on this. Well, the truth is, you have to keep talking and keep working and keep at it, no matter what other people say. And you'll bring them around and you'll be able to convince them that, hey, this is something legitimate. His third rule is something almost everybody needs to hear. Get your work done. I can't tell you how many times I've been doing a work project, whether that's with acting, my day job, or just in the past. And I've not only had to do my job, but everybody else's job. There's a new phenomenon as of 2022 called quiet quitting, which basically means going to your job but not doing any of the work and just receiving a paycheck. I understand people can be demoralized when they're not being paid what they're due and they're not being paid a good salary for their work. At the same time, if you're at a job, you should be working that job. And if it's not a good job, you should be finding another one or a side hustle. This idea of quiet quitting, this idea of just not getting your work done, is not the right way to approach things. We have to be about actually providing value. You know, Elon Musk was talking about the workforce one time, and he said a lot of high-performing people go into finance because they're able to get paid a lot for finance. But he said at some point people actually have to get the work done. People like mechanics or carpenters, people who build cars like for Tesla. At some point someone has to say the buck ends with me. Someone has to provide real value rather than just passing it along to the next guy. Sylvester Stallone believed that. He actually wrote the Rocky series, every single film. In the first one, he wrote in the span of about 24 hours. His fourth rule is that you have to believe in yourself. No one else will believe in you. You know, as someone who's tried to be an actor, as a father, as a husband, as someone with a full-time job, I've met a lot of people who definitely shake their head and think, no, this isn't going to work. But what's cool is to see how they've changed their minds when they've seen how dedicated I've been. Whenever you're trying something new, something that's not in the ordinary process of high school, college, 9-to-5 job, whether that's a business, starting your own franchise, starting a social media company, it's going to be difficult and people aren't going to take you seriously. They're not going to think it's a real job. Well, hey, it's your opportunity to believe in yourself and let them come and follow when they want to. His fifth rule is find your own process. When he wrote Rocky in 24 hours, he said that he covered all of his windows with black paper. He covered his entire room, and he simply just sat at his desk and wrote the entire thing like a crazy man for 24 hours. He does something similar when he writes his other films because he knows he has to get in a certain process. He can't talk with other people. He can't be doing other projects. He has to just hyper-focus on that one thing. He says that writing is actually very difficult. He doesn't really enjoy writing, but he does such a great job because he knows how to get it done. His sixth rule is don't think of failure, do one thing right. Jordan Peterson said something similar. He said when you're working hard and you're comparing yourself against your past self, you have a real chance of winning that comparison, seeing how you've improved. But if you're constantly focused on the many ways that we all fail, you're just going to debilitate yourself. I know we all fail, but at least choose one thing per day to do right. If it works for Sylvester Stallone, it'll work for you too. Similarly, his seventh rule says you only learn through failure. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about with Dwayne Johnson about a week ago. The way that you can change your perspective as to think, no, it's not about that I'm a failure. It's that this didn't work. Let's try what else can work. And let's take what I've learned to make the next project work better. His eighth rule is to keep moving forward. And this is a hard rule for Sylvester Stallone because he's had some difficult things happen in his life. He's had some kids who haven't been healthy. I believe he had a kid who even died. Not only that, he worked on those Rocky films and he ended up selling all of the rights to them just to make it big as an actor. It worked out well for him, but at the same time, the Rocky series, he doesn't own it at all. He calls himself an employee of the Rocky series. It can be really hard to produce something of great value that has shaped not only one, but several generations, and to say, I don't have any control over it, I don't have any ownership over it, and I created it. But he found a way to move on and move on past that. Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes they're just really bitter, difficult mistakes. Sometimes we just have to move past that. I remember I used to be in real estate and I got an amazing deal for a duplex, one half of the duplex. Someone was willing to owner finance to me at a pretty great rate at the time, and all I had to do was put several $1,000s down and I would own a duplex. And I decided not to do that. I had a lot of reasons why I decided not to, but mostly it was the fear to act. And there's been so many times I've looked back and thought, wow, that would have been a great investment. That would have been something that would have been an amazing thing for my family. And I failed. Out of fear, I said no. And who knows, maybe it would have not been the best thing. But in terms of my thoughts now, sometimes I just have to remember that and just sigh and go, okay, it's time to move on. There's other investment opportunities out there, and it's not the end of the world. Rule number 9, don't give a damn about what other people think. You know, you can probably hear Sylvester Stallone's voice when I say that. He is a self-made, rough man, and he doesn't care what other people think. But what's great about that is he has the opportunity to create a real work of art that's not influenced by other people or other agendas, but it's just about the human experience. You know, I love all of his films, mostly because they're just macho, masculine, violent movies. But if you look at all of them, they really do talk about the human experience. Some very difficult things in the human experience. And it's cool to see his raw take on it, rather than something that's smoothed over by a major corporation or a major production team. His 10th and last rule is be true to yourself. This reminds me of what Dwayne Johnson did as well. As a very unique, taller, bigger guy in the early 2000s, he leaned into himself. Well, so did Sylvester Stallone. I hope you enjoy these 10 rules for success that Sylvester Stallone has. Whether you're just a fan, a business person, or just someone who wants to learn from Sylvester Stallone, these 10 rules can help you become a better, more successful person. Thank you so much for watching my video. Definitely please subscribe and like. And if you would, I just have one request for you. Please send this video to someone who you feel would really benefit and really enjoy watching it. That would help me so much in growing my channel. Thank you guys.